Yeah, because we did that, right? We talked about, we gave the, I don't know, Thanksgiving synopsis, right? We said State of the Union is what we called it. This is where we are. This is how we feel. Next one was, well, what do we do about it? And then it's, well, now, today, who do we put in charge to do that, to enact said plan? So, because you're right, most of the time is, well, who are you going to get to take over? I don't freaking know, because the list of names is as long as my house. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. It could be anyone. And so we whittled it down to 3 each. Now, I don't know about you, but I set myself like a few criterias in terms of
Okay.
what I was looking for to help me pick. Now, I don't think it's not going to be anything groundbreaking here. It might even be a bunch of no doys, but I'm looking for guys who are around, or I shouldn't say guys, but anyone who is around for a good retool, right? Just because they were there during a retool doesn't mean I want them. I don't want Ken Holland because he wasn't even there for the Edmonton retool, but I think you know where I'm going here. What I'm looking for is they found good draft value. They found good pro level trades or free agents. They made brave decisions and they had good cap management.
All very, very good qualifiers. For me, what I was looking for was sustained success. So mine was a little bit more, you went very detail orientated. I was looking to poach from teams who I view as teams that have had sustained success for a period of time. So kind of getting to the same point, I feel like. I like that you went hyper specific on a retool. And I wonder maybe if we don't have overlap on names, I wonder if we're picking from similar teams. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. But I think similar mindsets that we both are going into this with.
Yeah, and I like how you framed yours because I think the way you're going, and I'm speaking for you, so correct me if I'm wrong here, is what you're essentially doing is I know where we are at as a team. We're in, we have to extend this window for as long as humanly possible. So let's bring in a guy who can do that or has done that, right? It's effectively where you were going with this?
Pretty much of just, guys who have been around teams who have had either long windows or just have been good for a while, essentially.
Perfect. Do you want to get us started with your first name?
Sure. So my first name on my list is Scott White. He is the assistant general manager for the Dallas Stars. He has been there for a long time. He runs the Texas Stars, has done that forever. But he runs or has been given the title of, running hockey operations in Dallas, not the GM, but the, president of hockey operations, whatever you want to call it, since 2013. That's a long time. That's 12 seasons now. In 12 years in that role, they made the playoffs 7 times, made it to a Stanley Cup final. They haven't won one. He's the only guy on my list who comes from a team that hasn't won a Stanley Cup in the period in which they were there. 2 conference finals in addition to that. So 2 conference final appearances, a cup appearance, just 1 losing season over that 12 years. Over that time, the Stars have a .588 points percentage, which is roughly a 96-point pace. They've had, I believe it's 3 seasons over 100 points. Their one down year was a 79 point season, so I think that brings it down a little bit. But I look at the Stars and they've been pretty consistently good over that stretch that he's been there.
Yeah, you're right. The Stars are one of the good teams, right? Jim Neal did a really good job of building that team. And so you got a guy who's been around them for all those decision-making processes and figure out maybe he can take something from him and apply to what we're doing here. Hopefully.
Right. That's pretty much my logic with most of these guys is people who have been around success. None of the guys on my list have actually held the title of general manager. That's a spoiler alert. But they've been around in the building for teams that have either won a Stanley Cup. My other 2 guys are from teams that have won a cup semi-recently, and a team in the Dallas Stars, who I just view as one of the league's better teams for the last, we'll call it, decade.
Yeah, and look at their acquisitions. They go and find Matt Duchene, who's on fire since he joined them. As an older guy, found Joe Pavelski, again, not found, as if he wasn't good to begin with. But Matt Duchene was not the player he is now for a couple of years. Joe Pavelski was apparently, and at the end of his career, rejuvenated, came 10 years younger. And they found Logan Stankoven, who's a second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Wyatt, what the hell is his last name? That's the one. Excellent player as well. Like, they're getting depth in the lineup, and like pretty good depth in that lineup. Roope Hintz was another find of theirs. Like, so you're finding not just pro level players, but amateur level players to step into the pros as well, and that hits a lot of buttons for me.
When I look at how their roster is built, there's a lot of things that I appreciate from them. I feel like it's a mix of both youth and veterans. It's not like leaned one way heavy. Like obviously there's some names there who's, been there forever, right? And they're on the older side in their mid 30s to late 30s, some of them. Yeah. But they also have, like you mentioned, Wyatt Johnson. You mentioned Stankoven as another name. Like these are guys in their young 20s who they're getting a lot of production from too. So I like that it's not just young guys or it's not just a really old core. It's kind of a mix of both, which again grabbed my eye.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love that. And yeah, the Dallas Stars have been an excellent team. So if you're looking to continue this, pathway of success, that's the team you want to start plucking from for sure. If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.